This is E&P Reports from Editor and Publisher Magazine, the authoritative voice of news media since 1884, serving newspapers, broadcasts, digital, and all multimedia news publishing. And greetings once again, Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P Magazine. Housekeeping as usual. If you're a listener and not a watcher, meaning you're on a podcast platform, please follow us. Watching us on our YouTube channel, I urge you to hit the subscribe button below me. You smash that bell to the right, and you'll get an update each and every time we upload a new episode of E&P Reports. I have an old friend with us today. I have got DJ Doran. DJ, you and I did a interview on this very platform together exactly 2 years ago this month. So congratulations, coming back. You're part of the 2-year club. We have special jackets for you now. Is that okay?
That's all. I can't believe it's been 2 years, Mike. Really?
I know it seems like yesterday, but it was 2 years when we did an interview with you as a prominent LBGTQ publisher. And I want to first, obviously, everybody's seen the headline. That's why they're tuning in, because you're running for mayor of Chicago. I want to get into that in a moment, because you are a news publisher who's running for mayor. But first, I want to talk about all the different ways you're involved in the news industry, because you not only have LGBTQ publications, right, in some major cities, but you also run a network now, or an advertising network that helps supply these publications, yours and others, with advertising. Am I correct?
That's correct.
This is amazing. That and more, and running for mayor. Let's tell you what, I got to do some business, got to make some money. So we're going to talk to DJ Doran, news publisher, mayoral candidate, and do that on the backside of this message.
This episode of E&P Reports is sponsored by Aequalitas Plus by Town News. Consumer revenue has never been more important. Digital leaders at media organizations worldwide are asking the same question. How do we accelerate the growth of consumer revenue? Traditional one-size-fits-all paywalls aren't the answer. They're blunt instruments that treat all visitors the same way, costing you money. Aequalitas Plus by Town News is a smart, dynamic metering solution that empowers you to maximize revenue by identifying key audiences, seeding engagement, and growing membership and subscriptions. Ready to supercharge your consumer revenue, grow engagement, and bolster your advertising income? Visit townnews.com/EP today to learn more about Aequalitas Plus by Town News.
Okay, DJ. I am very excited to have you on this program, because when we interviewed you 2 years ago, you were one of the, how should I put this, forward thinkers into niche marketing. You're not only were publishing an LBGTQ, successful LBGTQ publication in your own home city, you realized the value of that audience and started to create a network. Now, I understand what happened. During COVID, you got hit heavily. Tell me about that. You decided to have to negate the print product in Chicago because of COVID, right?
Yes.
But you maintained a strong digital website for your publication in Chicago. How did that go? When you stopped print, I'm sure you lost some advertising, but then you built it back up, I understand, with some new technology, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So during COVID, what happened is people were afraid to pick up print publications because of they're afraid of the transmission of COVID, right? So our distribution suffered, our advertising was hit by because of that. Also, because of people staying home, events were canceled. So event advertising was a big source of revenue, especially in our local publications.
Yes.
So this really helped facilitate our transition to digital, where we realized that we needed to be ahead of the curve. We were behind the curve, and now we needed to be ahead of the curve. And so we transitioned to digital.
And you found a new technology from someone from, I guess you actually have a very advanced form of technology to deliver your content, correct?
Yeah, there's a company called Rebel Mouse.
Yes.
Yeah, they're based in New York, and the founder of that company was the former CTO of Huffington Post, and she is a very, very brilliant technology person, and so we transferred from WordPress to their platform. This really helped drive traffic to the website not only on a national level, but on a local level as well. And as you know, Mike, in print advertising, they talk about circulation, and rates are determined by your audience size and your circulation. Excuse me. In digital, it's the same thing. It's about the digital audience, right?
Right.
And one of the things that we recognize is that the LGBTQ plus consumer uses technology more than any other demographic.
Wow. So basically, even though that you had to, for economic reasons and of course COVID and all that, negate the print product and go straight digital, the audience embraced that because the LBGTQ audience, you're telling me now, is highly digital, and you were able to keep your audience alive in Chicago. What about the network? I mean, you not only manage a website in Chicago, this is all under the Outvoice brand, correct? Where you now have websites in some of the top cities. Can you name them? Rattle it off.
Yeah, so we're in Chicago, New York, Phoenix, Nashville, Kansas City, and Las Vegas currently, and we have about 3 or 4 more that are coming online in the next quarter.
And these are hyper-local sites that feed into a national site, correct?
That's right. And Mike, this is what we learned, and this is data learning. This isn't opinion, right? There's a difference. People have opinion. This is data.
I get it.
The data is that that although people like national news, there's a lot of people doing that. You know, every major news organization has LGBT content, CNN, Huffington Post, such. But where they're lacking is the hyper local content, right? So what I did was I designed out voices, so it was like one of the NBC, CBS, ABC, or anything like that. So each one of our local publications is like a bureau, and they only focus on their local communities. And so this is, even in the LGBT market, this has not been done before. And we recognize that. You know, you have Out Magazine and you have the Nationals, and they focus on national issues, national politics, and so forth. But it doesn't play well in Peoria, Illinois.
Exactly.
You know,
all news is local. A lot of people, I mean, you've actually found the local hook. You actually have local reporters working in the cities feeding the national brand. Correct me if I'm wrong, and you're getting a lot of traction out of newsletters. This is similar to the Axios model, where they're launching local offices to feed a national site. If I want to enter your world, do I start national? Do I start local? How does that work?
Local. Let me just tell you, and I want to correct you on one thing. It's not that we have local sites feeding national. We have local sites reporting locally about local issues. But we have an editor that curates the top performing stories that go to the national site. So the editor looks at the local stories and says, you know, this might be of national interest. You know, you have Kirsten Sinema in Phoenix, you know, in Arizona, the senator from Arizona, who has created a lot of upheaval in Congress. That's a hyper local story, but it has some national relevance. So we pick and choose what we want to go to the national site. But where our superpower is, Mike, is creating and reporting on local communities that are either overlooked or underserved. And we talk about them. And that is where we're experiencing the largest amount of growth is in our local network. I
love this model. You're actually starting local and building the entire brand from there. And it's Outvoice. Now, Aqualitas, I'm saying that right? Aequalitas Media? What does Aequalitas mean?
Aequalitas means equal in Latin.
That's what we were exploring 2 years ago in this very platform, is you found that there was not an ad agency or some way to connect brands with the specific LGBTQ community well, and that's why you launched that. How is that going? How valuable is the audience? How many brands are you connecting? And are you making money with this local network that is feeding a national brand?
Yeah, that's a lot. I'll see if I can address all of that. Number one, I created Aqualitas Media because there was really only one LGBT agency that was feeding big pharma ads only to publishers, and publishers built their businesses on these big pharma ads. You know, big pharma is ruled by federal regulations that require them to print advertise, right? So that's how it started. What I realized is that there's much more than big pharma out there. There's all these other brands that are looking to reach the LGBTQ market, and they're being relatively ignored. So we created Aequalitas to sort of broaden that platform.
Why, as an advertiser, do I want to be targeting an LGBTQ audience?
That's the big thing is, and I give speeches around the country, and the title of this speech is the Oliver Twist syndrome. And I, please, sir, can I have some more? What happens is, and it's more common than not, is that they put all their advertising dollars to advertise in June during Pride. And for the rest of the 11 months, apparently the LGBT community doesn't buy cars, go travel, buy clothes, or do anything else. We only do this in June.
Right.
And so my whole thing with Aequalitas is educating brands and agencies that they're missing out on a huge opportunity to market specifically to the LGBT community. Here's a couple of facts. The LGBTQ buying power, combined buying power, is greater than the African American and Hispanic buying power combined.
Wow.
Per capita, if you will. So our audience is smaller, but we spend much more. We have tremendous brand loyalty. We have we'll spend money on a brand if they demonstrate that they're friendly to us or welcoming to us, and et cetera. And it goes on and on and on. So what I wanted to do is bring that power together. We wield, Mike, a huge economic hammer, and we have never really used it effectively because as a marginalized community, we're used to saying, hey, at least we got a crumb. Yay, I'm happy about that. At least we got something. What I brought to the table is, no, I am demanding a seat at the table for our economic power. And what we're trying to do is bring the LGBTQ media community together so that we can negotiate from a position of strength and not individual weakness.
If I'm not part of your network, first of all, let's assume that there's an LBGTQ reporter who's frustrated in their downsizing environment working for a hedge fund who believes their city deserves an outvoice site. Would you be willing to talk to them about building a franchise in those markets or having them work? I mean,
absolutely.
Are you growing is my first question.
First question is yes. I actually had to slow our growth because we couldn't handle the demand of people that want us to be in local markets.
But your dream is to build this as an amazing voice for the LGBT community coming from all these local markets. My second question is
all over the country. Yeah.
If there is an LBGTQ publication or website in some city now, can they feed off of your agency even if they're not part of your network?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that was something I was about to discuss. Not only is the network for Outvoices and the brands that we own and publish ourselves, what I created was a platform where, let's say, an LGBT website in Salt Lake City, right? The media out there is Q Salt Lake. The publisher out there is a friend of mine. He gets no revenue from his website. So I invited him to come to the Outvoices, underneath the Outvoices platform. We create an Outvoices Salt Lake City sub website on our website. He gets to sell local advertising. He keeps it. He gets to control the content. He has total control. But what we get is we get his traffic. And once we get his traffic, it increases our overall traffic, which gives me more leverage to negotiate for national ad buys.
And does he get a piece of that national business on his site as well?
He does. Good. So what happens is the way this works, and this is very important, and this is why publishers need to understand this. It used to be, Mike, in print, you say, hey, my publication has a circulation of X amount, therefore I'm charging this rate for a full page ad, and they pay it. Right. And then, they see their ad in print. In digital, it's a lot different. What happens is they buy a city and they say, we want to see the traffic that ad is getting in Salt Lake City. Right. So we have to tag it, and you have to do all these different things to make sure that we can track the amount of traffic that the ad's getting specifically in Salt Lake City. Now, let's say Salt Lake City is generating a lot of traffic. Then they get a proportionate proportion of the ad revenue of the ad buy. So an advertiser says, we want to place our ad campaign with you, and we need at least 500,000 impressions per month. So we go to all the websites in the network and we say, how do we build 500,000 impressions so we can deliver the terms of the contract, right? So we'll take that, and whoever the top performers are that can deliver those impressions, that's who we use at first. If there's any money left over, then we give it to the rest of the network pro bono.
So basically, if I wish to publish LBGTQ hyperlocal content, I can either become part of your company or become part of the network. Either way, right. It's a win-win-win. Okay, so now let's flip that letter, Vanna, and move into the next phase of this conversation. You have a very interesting background. You were a military pilot, right? Accomplished there. You somehow helped. You overheard someone that wanted to buy a hotel in Portland, Oregon. Is that where it was?
Vancouver, Washington, actually.
Vancouver, Washington. And suddenly which is on the other side of the river from Portland. And suddenly you owned a hotel, which you sold for a profit. And then you dived into the publishing game, and you're doing very well with it now. And you're becoming one of the visionaries of LGBTQ publishing. Why the heck are you running for mayor of Chicago? What's going on there? I'm getting a lot of buzz about that. I guess I'm on one of your lists. You are now a candidate for mayor in Chicago, correct?
That's correct.
Tell me about it. Why and how's it going?
Well, first of all, let me just say it's been eye-opening for sure. And how that worked was I had a dinner with a group of publishers that were in town in Chicago. And I was complaining about the state of the city, the high crime, the taxes, et cetera, a few other things. And one of the publishers said, DJ, if, you're a smart guy. Instead of bitching about this, why don't you get involved and make a change? And so I thought about it for a couple of weeks. And then I decided, I think I can bring something to the table. And I talked with my husband, who was adamantly against it at first. I won't repeat what he said, but he said absolutely blank, blank, beep, beep, no. But after a while, I convinced him that I could do this, and so I decided to do it, and I jumped in, and it's going pretty well. It's a lot more rough and tumble, Mike, than I imagined, and Chicago politics is very. I hate to say it this way. I don't want to say it's corrupt. People could call it corrupt, but it's stacked against citizen candidates running for any public office. That's how they maintain power. So to give you an example of this, in order to be on the ballot in New York, to be the mayor of New York City, which is 3 times the size of Chicago, you need 5,000 signatures. To run for mayor of Los Angeles, you need 1,000 signatures. To run for the mayor of Chicago, you need 12,500 signatures.
Oh my God. You have those 12,500 signatures?
Oh, they make it even better. So they make it that much harder. I announced in March, you cannot even start collecting signatures until August 30th, and you have until November 26th. So you have 90 days. And here's the catch, Mike, is the minimum requirement is 12,500, but you really need 50,000. Because what happens is other candidates, they hire lawyers that sue to have your signatures removed. So that's a way they get you off the ballot, because it's a nonpartisan election, which means there's no primary. It's that all you need to do is get enough signatures to be on the ballot.
Wow. So you have your job ahead of you very soon to garner all these signatures to be on the ballot.
And I've already been creating a team. I have a team of volunteers and paid people that are helping me do that. So it's not a one-man job for sure. But here's the thing. If I raise $3 million and I don't get the signatures, I won't be on the ballot. It doesn't matter.
What will you change in Chicago if you do become the mayor? What is your platform right now?
The biggest thing here, the biggest thing that people are concerned about is crime. I ask people all the time, what are the 5 top things that you would like to see the mayor focus on? The first 3 are crime. Second thing are taxes and what's called TIF. And the 4th thing is education. And the 5th thing is police reform. Those are the same recurring, but the top three is crime. And I think that people are scared here in Chicago, and Chicago is in trouble. They need a strong leader. They don't need an administrator. They don't need a politician. They need a strong leader who can get up to the podium and reinstill confidence in the people of Chicago that there's somebody in charge who is going to get things done. And that is really the crux of my platform. Is I may not have the political experience, but I have plenty of leadership experience. And it's about pulling people together. Our mayor, Mike, I don't know if you've done any homework on her, but she's very divisive. She's very bombastic. She has a very testy and confrontational relationship with the police, with the schools, with the fire department, with just about every organization, and even the city council. So we have in Chicago an aldermanic style of government. There are 50 wards that make up the city of Chicago, and each ward has an alderman. And that alderman is like a mini mayor, if you will, right, of their wards. Of the 50 wards and aldermen, seven have come out to support her in her reelection.
Wow. So are you Democrat, Republican, Independent?
I'm registered Democrat.
Okay.
But I'm a moderate, Mike, and that could be my downfall. I don't know, and I don't really care, because I'm going to run on a platform of here is who I am. If I'm elected, I'm going to be elected with the power of being elected of who I am, not what I create, right? So if I get elected, I want that power. You elected me, you know exactly who I am. Do you
leverage the LBGTQ community in your speeches, in your positions? Are you openly discussing that when you discuss your candidacy?
I do, in a way. Listen, I'm a candidate for mayor who happens to be gay. It's not something that I wear as a badge, right? I'm running as a candidate for everyone in Chicago. I happen to be gay, no big deal. I'm not going to use it for good or bad. To me, this whole election is going to be about the issues, Mike. People are sick and tired of politicians fighting with each other and ideological extremes fighting for dominance. This is an election about getting a competent person, a strong leader that can focus on the issues that are important to people. And this is something I can and will deliver when I'm elected. And let me just be clear about this. In 2019, when Lori Lightfoot was elected, she only got 17.5% of the vote, right? There was only a 33% turnout. She became mayor of Chicago by getting 97,000 votes. It's not millions of votes. Wow. She got elected against her challenger. They went into a runoff, who was embroiled in another scandal with another corrupt politician. And so people, she claims that she won 50 wards, which she did, because the other candidate was absolutely unelectable, right? So by default, she won. If the same numbers hold, I will need less than 100,000 votes to go into the runoff. And according to the PR company that I hired to give me some input about the campaign, if the election was held today, if the runoff was held today, and it was me with no political experience and Lori Lightfoot, I would be the mayor of Chicago.
How can someone learn more about your candidacy? How can they contribute? You got a website, right? Is it Doran for Mayor? Is that what I understand?
Yep, it's www.Doran4mayor.com. You can read about me. It's constantly being updated. You can sign up for our newsletters. You can donate to the campaign. And here's the thing, Mike. I'm not taking large institutional donations. My donations are coming from across the country, and Chicago, of individuals that donate $25, $50, $100, $500. There's a couple of bigger ones there, but that's our power. What I'm seeking to get is, and how I'm going to balance the scale, and I'll end off with this, is you have these political machines, unions and schools and so forth, that donate their members' money to campaigns for influence, future influence. My campaign has to be about the people, because the people, the individual voters, are the true arbiters of change. So John Smith, who can only afford $25 donates because he believes in having someone in there that's going to fight for him. So that's kind of how my campaign has established itself and is growing. And by going to the website, you can learn a little bit more about me and what I stand for. And
if someone has more interest in being part of the Outvoice ecosystem, they go to the Outvoice website?
They can go to Outvoices, or they can go to Aqualitas Media. They can reach me at dj@aqualitasmedia.com. I mean, I'm all over the place. You can. There's no shortage of ways to reach me.
I gotta spell that word if you don't mind. Aequalitas. That's AEQ. Aqualitas Media. DJ, good friend, doing amazing things in a niche media marketplace, and now getting national attention, running for mayor of Chicago. Final question: have you chatted with Mayor Pete at all? Has he reached out to you? Have you guys talked to him?
No, Pete Buttigieg, I'm assuming you're talking about. He's busy with being the
Secretary of Transportation. Yes.
But I will tell you, I have been in contact with other LGBT candidates and other citizen candidates, which is really what I am, is a citizen candidate, right, to talk about how people want to take their power back, Mike. They are tired of feeling powerless against the powerful. They want regular people with common sense, which seems to be in short supply nowadays, to get in there and start tackling these bigger issues. And listen, you don't have to be in Chicago. You can be in New York or Minneapolis or any of these other big cities, and you can see and feel that people are fed up with lawlessness. They're fed up with politics as usual, and they're definitely fed up with politicians spending our money like it's their money.
There you go.
And this is what has to change.
DJ, thank you for your valuable time. This has been an amazing interview, and more importantly, we're definitely going to stay on top of your campaign, but I also want to stay on top of the growth of the network as well. I really appreciate your time, DJ. Stay well, stay healthy, and good luck in your campaign.
Thank you, Mike. As always, it's a pleasure to see and speak with you.